Hi guys, I'm attorney Manny, a partner at the Rossen law firm. Today I'm going to be speaking with Phil Nardini, who's the Vice President of Sales and Sourcing at GA Telesis. GA Telesis is in the commercial aviation industry. They manage over $1 billion in assets. They specialize in airplane parts, services, the cutting edge of some technology involved in the industry. Phil's going to be discussing what COVID-19's done to his industry, the travel industry, the airline industry, and kind of how he sees this progressing and going forward and launching itself into the future. Phil's born and raised in South Florida, got a master's in business administration that goes along with a subpar beach volleyball game. Phil and I have played beach down in Fort Lauderdale by the old Clipper a few times. So without further ado, Phil, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Manny. How about yourself?
Good. I'm missing the beach, but it is what it is. I'm staying inside. I'm sure you're doing the same.
Yeah, we'll be back out there soon enough.
So GA Telesis, what exactly is it and what do you guys do?
Well, GA Telesis is a aftermarket aviation supplier, one of the largest of its type. We do start any supply to the airline, from aircraft leasing to aftermarket parts support. We buy aircraft, put them on lease to the major carriers worldwide. We also end-of-life assets. We would take ownership and we'll part them out, send them out to the repair stations, have them overhauled, sell the parts to the airlines. We have an engine center in Helsinki, Finland that does full overhauls on engines. We have a couple facilities here in South Florida, one in Miami, one in Fort Lauderdale, that specialize in repairs of components. We have a leasing team in Denver, a worldwide organization, big supplier to the commercial airline industry.
So some of the names that people watching are going to be familiar with, do you work with Boeing, anything like that, those names that ring bells?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're dealing with all the manufacturers, Boeing, Airbus directly, every major airline worldwide that you guys fly on every time you're taking a trip, Delta, American Airlines, United. We're heavy in Asia, Japan Airlines, China Airlines. Throughout Europe, British Airways, Lufthansa, KLM. So we're pretty much have the globe covered as far as coverage with the airlines, the manufacturers. We work heavily in the aftermarket for parts supply, new aircraft to old, but anything that flies passengers, we're involved with.
And so how long have you been in the industry?
Started in the early 2000s, so a little over 15 years now.
And prior to this pandemic happening, was business booming?
It was, just like Antonio Brown likes to say, booming. But they're saying about where we were about a month ago, early March, it's going to take about 3 years to get back to that point. But everything was really riding high in aviation. Passenger traffic was very high. The demand was huge. All the prices were soaring. The new equipment was being placed worldwide. The older equipment was still flying because low oil prices. Aviation was in a really good spot just prior to this pandemic, for sure.
So at what point did you start to see that fluctuation in the industry?
Well, as mentioned, we have a pretty big presence in Asia. So we were feeling it at the first effects of the outbreak in Wuhan. As a matter of fact, our company has a couple of aircraft that are physically in Wuhan. So we've been feeling the effects for months now. We're starting to see some changes, but yeah, it's been going on since January.
And then so the industry itself, obviously there's going to be change, as in every industry hereafter. What are some of the things that you think are going to need to be done to adapt to the new world? Because in my opinion, looking at it, maybe some business now is going to be done over Zoom or over phone calls. A lot of people are getting comfy behind a screen. Is that something you anticipate?
Well, absolutely. We're seeing changes daily. The way people are doing business is changing. Being in the airline industry, we're hoping that's not necessarily all the case. We still want to see people hopping on airplanes and going to do, business meetings worldwide. Obviously, international travel is probably going to be the last one to get back online. But yes, we're seeing, there's some forecasts right now that the world's fleet's going to decrease potentially as much as 30% in the near term. It's going to take a while for consumer confidence to come back. It's going to take a little while for business travel, for large gatherings, the conventions, all the type of events that people fly around the world to go do and see is going to be affected for the foreseeable future, but we're hoping it gets back online here as soon as possible.
Yeah, I saw today, actually, because heavily invested in Delta, I saw that the Delta CEO was saying that demand went down 95% for them in the month of April. But he then went on to say that he sees actually a very strong recovery that's going to take time, in 3 to 4 years. I think you actually mentioned 3 years. And he goes on to say that in the lifetime of an airline, while it may seem like a very long time, especially the people in it, that it actually can be a very quick rebound given the need for travel. Is that something that you see as well?
Yeah, for sure. Aviation is kind of unique in the sense that it's always been a very cyclical business. We're one of the first hit when something major hits in the world, be it 9/11, the last major global recession, housing crisis that hit, wars. It's one of the first things that people stop doing is traveling around the world. So there's been some big ups and downs for our industry. So it's nothing foreign. It's a very resilient industry. So we're hoping it's a V-shaped recovery where it just goes down quick, comes right back up. We're yet to see if that's the case, but there's a lot of people, industry experts, that are saying that hopeful we'll get back on track. We're thinking 2020 is going to be it's certainly going to be a tough year, but hopefully, some of the restrictions we start seeing on the backside of people getting back healthy, where they get this virus under control, and we start seeing some consumer confidence and just our health is under control, and people start getting back out there and traveling out.
Yeah, and then obviously, I had spoken with a buddy of mine who lives in Shanghai, who, although China seems to be relatively back to normal, they still got phone tracking apps and some weird things going on that you quite frankly may not see in the States, but their borders are still locked. They're still locking down. So even though they've started their recovery, it seems as though travel is going to be very hard that way. So is there anything that you see as, when times of crisis happen, there's usually some kind of innovative idea that comes up, or any kind of cavalier business opportunity? Is there anything that sparks your mind as to what may change now in the airline industry?
Right now, we're just going to have to find some way that people are comfortable to get back on planes. 9/11 sparked a new initiative for security that we had never seen before. I'm sure that they're going to make this. There's going to be some things that make it a little safer to travel. We're not going to spread as much sickness. There's some talk of body temperature scanners at airports. As far as innovative changes to the industry, there's new technology, but I could see a lot of newer aircraft on the market. Some of the older aircraft are, probably going to be parked for good. There'll be a change in that regard. I'm not quite sure if I see personally what the next big change that'll come with this as far as innovation and change at the moment. Hopefully it dawns on me pretty quickly.
If whisper it in my ear and we'll see where we can play the market a little.
All right.
For people watching, if they want to get more information on your company or follow you guys a little bit, is there a website? Is there anything that they can go to kind of check you guys out?
Yeah, certainly. We had a website, www.GA Telesis.com. Pretty in-depth website, shows all our services, scope, customer reach, any of the aviation industry. It's a growing business. Yeah. So, once this all passes by, should be exciting times again, hopefully in the near future.
One thing before you go, I should have asked, I forgot to. Do you guys have any experience or working with the rent-a-jet, so to speak? A lot of people were talking about like private jet Uber, things like that. Is that something that you guys supply parts to or deal with a company that deals in that?
We don't. We're only in the larger Boeing and Airbus jets for the main focus of our company. We have some helicopter exposure as well. We're not really in the private or personal business jet space at the moment. Nothing really on that, but I know some people if you need to rent a jet anytime soon.
Knows some people. I can't deal with an Italian tell me he knows some people.
And I'm not Melissa Alvarez, by the way. Yeah, it's my fiance.
Yeah, I saw the Melissa on the bottom, but yeah, so everyone
Graciously
watching.
allowed me to use the Zoom.
Phil, thanks for your time. Much appreciated. I hope to see you out on the beach soon, man. Stay safe.
Great. Thank you, Manny.